Hi everyone, it's Steph from Stellium Astrology here, and today I wanted to take a little look at a very current topic, David and Victoria Beckham, just because they're really in the news right now. I can't open my phone up without some kind of meme or something talking about Victoria. I literally just saw a really lovely video of one of the boys. I think it might have been Romeo. I get confused between them now. Maybe it was Cruz. One of them was playing guitar, and Victoria was singing the Viva Forever song from the Spice Girls. So yeah, basically, I just wanted to take a look at their charts. I've got this open here now. So David and Victoria Beckham. I suppose actually what would be really interesting at the moment, let's just have a quick look at David. Oh, so David's the one with Moon at 29 Capricorn. That's right, I remember now. I remember talking about him in a long time ago in one of the LSA classes, London School of Astrology. And we talked about how for David, having his moon at 29 degrees on the midheaven describes him having a sort of like being associated with a woman who would be considered to be almost like impeccable, like the impeccable woman. And you know, posh spice. I suppose the two planets that are quite high elevated in his chart. So he's got a 10th house. We're looking at equal houses here, and I'm using Astro Gold software for those of you who are listening and can't see the charts. David Beckham's Mars is in the 10th house by equal, and his moon is in the 9th, but it's on the midheaven. So you know that also gives it like a 10th house flavor because it's on the midheaven if we're looking at equal houses. For those of you who are listening rather than watching, it's 2nd of May 1975 at 6:17 British summertime in London, England. Now if you are just Google it, you'll find his chart very easily. He has Mercury rising at 25 degrees in Taurus. His ascendant is 27 degrees Taurus, so that's interesting. Because as I speak, I believe Uranus is currently sitting at 27 Taurus. So it's here to, it's dipped back in for the last time. It's been moving through Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus since May 2018, I think. Is it May or March? I think it was May 2018. It then dipped back out and then went back in again. So it's been there now for a really, really long time. And he's just moved out and moved back in again by retrograde. So this is his final, I think he hits Taurus. This is the last time he hits Taurus. So everyone in Taurus can be like, oh, I'm so done with that, like disruptive Uranian energy. But David Beckham clearly had some work to do. And so this Uranus is trining his moon at 29 degrees and it is on his ascendant. Now, that's just my initial things that I've noticed. And obviously he's a sun in Taurus as well, and his sun's in the 12th, which often we see people who take on a role for the collective. It's seen to be often like pop stars and politicians who their role is their life. Like I think Madonna, I think Tony Blair as well. But it's where people sort of they lose their sense of identity, but take on this kind of persona that it becomes part of the archetype, the collective archetype, the collective experience. So we all feel like we know the Beckhams to an extent. David Beckham is part of British culture, I suppose, part of English culture. He's got that elevated Mars in Pisces in his 10th, and that moon on his midheaven in Capricorn. So you might say like two planets sitting quite high in his chart could represent posh being the moon in Capricorn and spice being Mars sitting up there as well. But also that Mars in Pisces sitting in the 10th house, well, that's like somebody who will like be competitive with their feet for a living. Well, that's David. And it's square to Neptune as well. But also having Neptune in the 7th house could be, you could also look at that as somebody who is, to start with, it's a footballing signature, a Mars from the 10th in Pisces, square Neptune in the 7th. But there's this kind of attraction to artists, musicians, and that kind of thing. And also, you know, perhaps like there aren't strong boundaries. You might say somebody with a 12th house sun and Neptune in the 7th house, they're almost property of the people's property. So you know, just some ideas there. But let's have a look at Victoria and see what's happening with Victoria. So Victoria has a 13 degrees Cancer rising in her chart, and she has got the moon in Aquarius, and then she's got a very romantic and very fashion orientated Jupiter and Venus straddling the midheaven there. Her birth time is the 17th of April 1974 at 10:07 in Harlow, in the United Kingdom. And she's an Aries, so Aries and Taurus together. You might say that actually having these two signs as next door neighbours in communication could be that one of them's got the drive, the ideas, and the kind of the motivation, and the other has the staying power and the ability to anchor the ideas and to build foundations and develop and create. So there's no denying there's a sense of when we see David and Victoria, a kind of dream team combination, like brand Beckham, as they talk about. But yeah, what's interesting to me, I mean, there's lots we could comment on Victoria's chart as well. Like she's got like the kite formation in her chart, with her sun being at the apex, the kind of like the arrowhead where the base of the kite is pulling back, drawing back, ready to fire. And that's opposite Uranus as well. So this is somebody who can appeal to communities, and having that Aquarius moon, you know, it connects to that Uranus at the base of the kite. There's a lot of, you know, fortunate meetings here. And she's got a strong Mars Saturn conjunction sitting here, 12th house again. She's the serious Spice Girl that doesn't smile. She was quite sexy. And, you know, that kind of that posh spice feeling, again, is echoed with that Mars Saturn conjunction. It's an interesting look at two different expressions of similar flavors in the chart. So what is going on? What's happening to David and Victoria? Well, obviously Brooklyn has come out and said that he you know, was a bit embarrassed by something his mum did at his wedding, and they had to renew their vows because she made it all about herself. Lots of people are saying, oh, you know, isn't it a parent's job? Like, isn't that what they do? They embarrass each other. Like, mums embarrass their kids, or kids are embarrassed by their parents. And David Beckham has come out and said, you know, children make mistakes, and we try to encourage our children not to use social media. There's also lots of like names being bandied around, like the main one is narcissist, and people are saying, you know, Brooklyn's been brought up in a very sheltered life where he doesn't have to worry about material things, like material issues. So his journey in this life is to find some kind of meaning and purpose, because the struggle has been taken from him. And I think a lot of people find purpose and meaning through struggle. His struggles are different. I'm not minimizing the experience that he's had in life because he's had a privileged upbringing. It's more to the point that it's just a very different experience because he's grown up in such wealth. He said he's always had anxiety living at home. When you hear about actually these kind of like influencer families where the children grow up, these family YouTube channels, the children grow up with no privacy whatsoever because there's always cameras, and they were always encouraged to perform for the camera. I looked at the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is forming. So let's just pull that chart up quickly, and I'll just switch it round. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is sitting here at the moment, Saturn's at 27 of Pisces, and Neptune is at 29, so close to moving into Aries. Now, I believe it moves in on the 26th of January, which is in a few days. And I think Saturn moves in on Valentine's Day, 14th of Feb. Now, to me, I looked at this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and I remembered as it was coming together and thinking ahead, they were bringing in lots of like child exploitation laws around these YouTube channels where children are used to, you know, market a personal brand, or influencers using their children in order to make money, and that children should be paid for any kind of exposure they have, and to consider, you know, the exposure that children have, full stop, on social media, on YouTube channels, on Instagram, anywhere where their face is public. There's a campaign called Smartphone Free Childhood, which is campaigning currently, I know, in the United Kingdom, to match laws that are being set in Australia, and I think in, I'm going to say, Denmark. I know it's one of the Nordic countries, and they are saying that they want children to be at least 16 years old before they can have social media accounts. And it's because we are understanding the damaging effects that growing up without the right to privacy, you know, a privilege that people of my generation had, because we grew up before even social media was a thing. I was 15 when I got a mobile phone, and it was a Motorola Graphite, if you care to Google it. And I'm saying Google it. Googling wasn't even a thing. It was, maybe there was a search engine called Google, but it was not a term in our vocabulary to Google something. You know, that came later. So I'm talking like at the inception of the launch of the internet as we know it today. You know, things have really evolved, and we have been the guinea pigs of what the kind of damage could be ultimately to the younger generations. So I wouldn't doubt for a second that Brooklyn might not have some kind of trauma associated with growing up in a famous family. Let me just have a look and see if I can find my other screen that I had open. Where is it now? What have I done? Oh, I can't see it now. I had his chart. Let me see if I can shrink this down. What have I done? Minimize. That's it. There we go. Window, Google Chrome. There we go. Share. So there's his chart, Brooklyn's, and Brooklyn Joseph Beckham. And it says here 4th of March 1999 at 7:48 p.m. London, England. So I'm guessing that's Greenwich Mean Time, Universal Time. The Rodden rating is A. Came from a news report. So Lois Rodden collected this information, and Brooklyn has, let's see, Brooklyn has got Libra rising, so, and Moon rising in Libra, so relationships are very important to him. And I guess he's, you know, with the Moon rising, you know, the Moon was always close, the mother was always close. I mean, we associate him very closely with his mum, don't we? Obviously, but, you know, it's not everybody is as connected to their maternal figure. Yes, it's, oh, look, the Moon opposite Venus. Well, that tells a story, doesn't it? And Venus in Aries. So he's obviously attracted to dynamic, driven women. And that is the opposite principle. It's having a Moon Neptune opposite, not a Moon Neptune, a Moon Venus opposition. There's almost like a conflicting feminine archetype roles in his personal chart, which of course is an expression of what he needs versus what he's attracted to. So, you know, essentially, without going too deep into his relationship with his girlfriend, because like I was saying before, narcissism has been bandied around with terms of saying that David and Victoria are narcissists, that Brooklyn might be in a marriage with a narcissist. You know, you hear all these things, but like, can you really comment on this without knowing the people personally? No, we can't. We can only speculate. However, to look at him, he's a Pisces. He's somebody who's grown up. Probably this is the journey for the Pisces is a journey of searching. They search. They are looking for something. And, you know, he's also got Jupiter on his descendant and Mercury as well. And again, Jupiter is a planet that is searching. It's somebody who is looking perhaps for the answers they're searching for in other people. And maybe because at home is anchored to perhaps keeping up appearances in some way. This Libra rising likes to kind of look good, have a certain perception, and this describes his early life as well. So there's sort of like a perception around home and family, and he's so connected to the family. So for him to be breaking away from the family in such a way, it is a essentially it's a huge statement, and something you might imagine as Saturn and Neptune. He's had Saturn move over his sun, he's had Neptune move over his sun, and as they're getting ready to move in to Aries, it's going to make conjunctions with his Mercury, then his Jupiter, then go over his descendant, and then move up through. So this Saturn Neptune conjunction's happening at 0 Aries on the 21st, I think 21st of Feb, and it's happening so close to his descendant, and it's happening pretty much minutes away from his Mercury, a degree away from his Mercury, really. So, you know, and it's as well, it's also going to be sextiling his natal Neptune as well. So this is kind of like impacting him, and he's got a cardinal axis as far as the ascendant, descendant, and the midheaven and the IC is concerned. It's all cardinal, so it's all going to be hit by this Saturn Neptune conjunction, by square, by opposition, and by conjunction. So it's a very dynamic and disruptive transit in Brooklyn's chart, as we are witnessing. But it's almost like the sense of, you know, when people say, if I'm going down, you're coming down with me. I'm not saying that's what he's doing. I'm just trying to take a very removed perspective over what's happening with the Beckhams, basically, because I'm not involved. I'm just speculating. So let's have a quick look. Let's go back to, first of all, let's have a look at Victoria. So the Saturn Neptune conjunction is happening here up in the 9th house for her. And obviously, as an Aries, she is going to be, let's swap 2 for 3. There we go. As an Aries, when Saturn and Neptune move into Aries, this is going to you know, flavor the sign of Aries for her. And she's got her Mercury there, her Chiron there. She's currently having or had her Chiron return, and her sun is sitting up there as well. So essentially, I think she's always wanted to be taken more seriously and not be seen as a pop star. You know, she's got a nice little fashion signature, and these two benefics, the greater and the lesser benefic, sitting on her midheaven. So she's got these two what are considered very beneficial planets sitting either side of her midheaven, but they're ruled by Neptune. So Neptune sitting in the final degree of Pisces within minutes of changing sign. It could be seen as scandalous. It could be seen as narcissistic. Neptune can be seen as narcissism, actually. One of the signatures for narcissistic relationships. And maybe Saturn is coming here to clarify what could be actually a great delusion over what we think the Beckham family is, the brand Beckham. Brooklyn almost stating that he's been brought up in a house that performs rather than keeps things very real. We see the Beckhams, we think that Posh Spice Victoria is funny, quirky. David is a loving family man. But there's lots that goes on that we've heard about, like his affairs, David's affairs, and you know, some of the failings that Victoria's had in her businesses. Not that we should judge, you know, somebody who's driven and determined to achieve and keep going, but they're very good at self-promotion, and they've created a few documentaries, and so they're telling their story from their perspective and controlling their own narrative. Brooklyn has stepped out from that dynamic, and he is now saying, actually, this is how things really are. So is it Saturn clarifying Neptune, or is Neptune muddying the waters and making Saturn harder to see? It is one of those challenging things. Whenever there's like Neptune involved, it can be quite the mystery and never to be solved. But unfortunately, when there is some kind of question mark over reputation in some way or another, it often can't be cleared up. It sort of does lasting damage. And I feel like this type of thing is very damaging to brand Beckham. And whether I like to think that they're parents that care enough about their children, they seem to be, that would care more about their relationship with their child over any kind of public perception of what they are. But I'm speaking from what I hope and not from reality of fact, which I can't give you because I don't know them personally. So yeah, it's interesting that Saturn Neptune is sitting here doing this in Victoria's chart, because this is almost like, you know, with the ninth house here, it's a house of belief, and what we believe and how we kind of process what's possible in our reality based on our own personal beliefs and limitations. Obviously, the ninth house isn't associated with limitations in the sense that we don't have limits in the ninth house. It's where we can go as far as we want to if we have the belief in ourselves in order to do it. So this could well be creating a sense of limitation in her own mind, or it could be that the reputational damage is creating a sense of limitation imposed upon her from forces beyond her control. Anyway, that sounds a bit down in the dumps and negative, and I'm not meaning to be. Oh, look, is that what's happening right now today? Yes, Mars is sextile, transiting Neptune as we speak. And oh, well, wouldn't you look at that? So actually, David's chart, he has Moon at 29 of Capricorn, and Mars is right on top of that at the moment. It's always interesting, isn't it, when you feel compelled to talk about something? But the thing is, it wouldn't be a current conversation if there wasn't something triggering it. There's always going to be something triggering the current conversation. Mm-hmm. And David Beckham, well, like I said, he's got Uranus sitting there on his ascendant. This could be something that changes his entire outlook, maybe depending on stocks and shares and investors. This kind of information that comes out could make them be seen as a less serious option when it comes to people investing in their brands, their business ideas, because I saw on social media they were launching something else. I don't know if he was launching some kind of health food or something. I can't really remember what it was now, but they're always coming up with things very entrepreneurial. And yeah, Uranus coming to the ascendant, I suppose it's calling for a change of some description for David. I suppose he's got to put that Mars somewhere, you know, it's got that drive and determination, it's got to go somewhere. And yes, that Saturn-Neptune conjunction is actually sextile his Moon and his midheaven. So his Moon at 29 and Neptune at 29, and Saturn's currently at 27 and his midheaven's at 26. So there's this kind of, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for him to make changes where they're needed. Maybe it's a call to become more real, because we think we know them. They seem real to us, but maybe they are just performing. Maybe this is just a big Kardashian scripted reality performance. And actually, if they see what is truly being offered here, it could well be a chance to stop acting, stop performing, and actually be a real person in the public eye. This is just, like I said, coming up with ideas. I personally like the Beckhams. From an armchair pundit perspective, I like them all. I think they all seem like nice people. I like Victoria. She's funny, and they both seem down to earth, David and Victoria. And I just love, you can tell how innocent and I'd say naive, but I don't want to like undermine him as an adult. But Brooklyn strikes me as somebody who wears their heart on their sleeve, you know, despite privilege, whatever, you know, the background, where they're coming from. I don't think that that should factor into it. I think we should take people for what they are, and that is human beings trying to find their way through this utter joke. I mean, you know, what is life? Let's not get too existential here, but we're all battling through, aren't we? So I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit of a romantic as well at heart. I care too much for people, and maybe motherhood softened me somewhat. But yeah, that little Pisces kind of journey and that purity of a sense of innocence, but also a lack of accountability that comes with the Pisces journey. The moon's in Pisces at the moment. Yeah, we're talking about Brooklyn as well. Anyway, so yeah, what's happening to the Beckhams? Well, David's having Uranus to his ascendant. He's got Saturn, Neptune to his midheaven and his moon. And, you know, it's a big shake-up right now. Uranus is set to move into Gemini, where Victoria's got her Mars and Saturn conjunction and her node. Can't remember which node it was now. Both David and Victoria having Chiron to a Chiron return in Aries. So this is about individuality and being yourself, truly yourself, unapologetically, you know, just be who you are, be true. And yeah, where's Brooklyn's now? I can't even remember where Brooklyn's is. So Brooklyn has got his Chiron in, oh, I can't even see it on here. It doesn't show it. That's a shame. Oh, Chiron at 3 Sag. So again, it's about doing something meaningful. It echoes that sense of meaning and lack of, I suppose. I think it's in the 3rd house as well. So perhaps it's finding his voice, finding his meaning, and not being seen as a Beckham. This is almost like a kind of coming of age story, because he's going to have his Saturn return, I believe. Where are we? Brooklyn. Saturn's at 0 Taurus. So once it moves into Aries, that's 2.5 years approximately before it becomes his Saturn return. And it's all about relationships, learning about other people for him, and really wanting to be authentic. I wish him well. I do. I wish them all well. The memes of Victoria dancing, they do make me giggle, but she must be dying a little inside, because she's worked so hard to shed that image. But we all love somebody who can be fun and laugh at themselves. And if nothing else, she has proved to us that she can laugh at herself. She can have a laugh at herself. I just hope that that's not just one great big act. Anyway, if you haven't seen the Beckham documentaries, probably a good idea to watch them. There's the one with Victoria where she's talking about her fashion business. She got a bit of stick for that. And the other one was David and his football career, which was a really interesting one. And if you want to learn about Juno, watch that and think about Victoria and the way she supported him through that, because that is a real Juno story. Anyway, that's all I have to say today. I have no idea how long I've been talking for, but thank you for sticking with me if you have. Hoping to create more regular content. I'm feeling fired up, and I just miss, don't know, sharing my ideas and connecting with people the way I used to. So yeah, take care, guys. Keep your eyes peeled. I should be putting some more stuff out soon, and sending lots of love to you. Bye now.